guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is the first part of this 3-part video because it ended up being a lot longer than expected, but this is the best app for language learning. So the first video is actually going to be the best app for short-term language learning. So that means if you're going on a trip really soon or you just want to pick up a couple phrases, these are the 2 best apps that I found that would help you the most with that. So let's get started. So this week I am going to talk about the top apps for language learning. So language learning can be very difficult, whether you have a time restraint, like you're going somewhere in 2 weeks, or that you just want to actually learn a language, but you're just kind of too overwhelmed and you don't really know where to start or which apps are the best. So I have split up these 5 apps that I feel like I've used quite a bit and I am familiar with, so I can actually give a honest judgment of all of them. I've split them into 3 categories. So the first category is long-term learning, which means you actually have a goal of being fluent in the language. The second category is just you want to know the basics, whether you maybe learn a little bit slower or just languages just don't come to you. This would be a good category to consider, or if you just want to know the basics for like a trip that you have in a month. And then phrasebook and travel, this category is like you're going there in 2 weeks. How should I pick up basic things and stuff like that? So we have 3 categories, 5 apps, and empezamos. So I'm gonna be reading off this list, and I'm sorry if I look down a lot, but forgive me. So we have 2 apps in the category of travel language fluency and travel phrasebooks. So the first one is Duolingo, which is by far the most famous app for learning languages on the App Store. Like if you look that up, I'm pretty sure it's the first one. And I call this the New Year's resolutions app. You go, I want to learn a language, this is the year, like this is it. And you usually download Duolingo, practice about 5-10 minutes a day, bada bing, bada bang. Good for the very, very basics, like basic present tense conjugations, basic where's the food, who is she, there are the shoes, you know, like very basic sentences that would help you if, say, you were going to a country for like 2 weeks. They're very helpful for that, but they're not very helpful for learning the language. So I'll get into the pros and cons of that. One of the pros of Duolingo is it starts from complete scratch. You don't have to come in with any prior knowledge or taking a high school class or college class. It starts from hola and builds from like hola, generes, or you know, you don't have to start at the little basic sentences. You can test out and go into higher levels. The third good part about Duolingo is that it is very, very low commitment. There's not really a big commitment level. You can go at your own pace. There's like 5 different settings of paces, so if that's something you're really interested in, if you want to go really slow or if you really want to get through the app fast, you really have the option. So some of the cons of Duolingo is it's not very practical long term. So I did the French one all the way through, and now that I look at it, I actually learned a lot, but I just don't remember it. And some of the things that you'd have to say aren't very practical, or you really wouldn't use it in everyday speech. Like the dog ate the newspaper, or you know, it's just kind of like weird things. They're kind of helpful for foundational, but it's not very conversational. The second con is that they lack very much so in clear grammar rules or clear conjugation rules. They don't have very big explanations. It's just kind of teach yourself, like you do it and you kind of just hope that if you do it enough, you'll learn how somehow. But for me, it really wasn't helpful because probably when I didn't even know how to conjugate when I did the French one all the way through. Like I just didn't know. Like I knew it meant different things, but it really never sat down and went, this is present tense conjugations, this is past. Do you know what I mean? Like you could see it, but you were more remembering it than like actually understanding it. And the third con for Duolingo is actually that the audios are kind of unrealistic. So even when you get to the higher levels of Duolingo, when you start getting to the last part where they say you should be about 15% fluent, It's not all that clear. Like, the dialogue is almost too clear. So in Spanish, if you've ever spoken Spanish or even French, it is quite distorted compared to learning audios. Learning audios are like, hello, how are you? That's how it would sound in English. So there are many different accents. There tends to be word slurs, like pronunciation differences. They're pronouncing very true to the vowel, and we don't even do that in English. So that kind of can be problematic when you're trying to keep up with native speakers, because they will sound a lot different than Duolingo. So the second one in the travel/phrasebook category is the travel phrasebook translator. And it has a little red bird. Here's the logo. Well, you'll just see the slide through of the app. But it is very helpful for just like, it's very simple, very easy to use, and there's no commitment, which is very, very helpful for people. Some people don't really like commitment, you know, you don't really have to learn the language, or you can learn these simple phrases and you can really do that. And then the third thing that's really good about this app is that they have a lot of the very popular languages, such as like Hindi, Greek, Dutch, both types of Spanish. You know, they have like a lot of different options for people to use, so I feel like that would really help you if you really are just traveling quick and you need to find something. Some of the cons is that user error is probably very high on that app, because if you like press the wrong thing or kind of get confused, like the sentences are simple, but I feel like that's not really the way people talk every day, like some of the things you'll see. So like, it will help if they speak basic Spanish and they convey the basic emotion and meaning of what they're trying to say. But if they don't do that, that could get kind of complicated. The second thing is dialect. So like, there's many, many different dialects in Hindi. There are many, many different types of Spanish. It's more than Mexican or Spaniard. So you could also run into different problems with that, as people use different words, and you could kind of just get caught up in the translational part of that language. So that could be quite difficult, trying to make the translator work or the phrases work in different countries that may not use those words in the same way. The third thing is that this app is very, very restrictive unless you buy their premium. But with that, you do get to unlock all the languages, but it's kind of pricey. If you want to buy all the languages, all unlocked, it's about $20. So that can get kind of pricey, but if you're on the run and you have like a couple countries to hit, like if you're traveling to Europe, I'd say why not? They have a lot of really helpful ones, but the only ones I think you get on like the light version, or like, you know, the free version, is probably emergency and common. I don't think you get weather, accommodation, or food or anything. So if you really are struggling to learn the language, I think that would be something to look into. So thank you for watching this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. This was the best language apps for all three of these categories. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe. Hope this helped, and I'll see you eventually, honestly, but I'll see you on Sunday. Goodbye.